Okay, so this problem is a little bit harder than the other problems. How many atoms of only hydrogen are in 30 liters of methane, which is CH4? All right? So the first thing we need to do is figure out how many molecules of methane they are. There are. So this is just like many problems you've already done before. You would say, okay, the number I'm given, 30 liters over 1 times 1 over, what's the proper number in liters? 22.4. And if you wanted to know how many molecules there were, what's the proper number for molecules? 6.02.
Huh? What? Not what we did. Wow.
I did it multiple ways, and
Okay.
none of the times I did it.
Wait, 20,
Kids, ready? This says, Cole, look out. This says, how many atoms of hydrogen are in 30 liters of methane? The first thing you should say is, how many molecules of methane do I have? You've been doing this problem for 3 days in class. 30 liters over 22.4, that gives you that many moles, times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd gives you that many molecules. So the first thing we would do is this. How many molecules does that give you?
8.06.
What did you say? 8.06 times 10 to the 23rd. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have that many of those, how many hydrogens do you have? What's the only thing you do to this number? What? So if you had 10 cars, and I said, how many tires are on that car? You would say 10 on all those cars. You'd say 10 divided by 4? You multiply by 4. There's 4 of these on every one of these, so you'd say times 4. 3.3 times 10 to the 24th. You are definitely making this harder than it is.
I think it's 3.2.
Maybe 3.2.
All right, now 3.2.
Wait, is that backwards?
If this was 8.06, you're right, still at 2.
It would still be.
It's what?
Yeah, it's 3.22.
How would there be more molecules of hydrogen than there are molecules?
All right. You're thinking, Zach, you're just thinking about grams. But this isn't about the weight of hydrogen, it's about how many are there. So let's draw a molecule of CH4. It's tetrahedral, but we draw it like this. If this is 1, then how many H's are there? 4. For every one of these, you have 4 H's. Does that make sense? Let's try one other. Let's try another one similar to this.
No, this is crushing my
Can we do the early test review?
Yes, please, it says
Do one
early.
exactly
This is
like
test
that.
review.
Okay, exactly like that. No problem. 75 liters of propane contains blank atoms of carbon. Question mark.
It's the same.
Okay? It is. It's purposefully the exact same question. So what we did was we changed this problem to make it one that we knew how to do. 75 liters of propane contains how many molecules of propane? So if we just solved it like that, it's a regular two-step problem, and we just say 75 liters times 1 over the proper number for liters times the proper number for molecules, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd over 1. And if we do this, what number will this give us? 2.0 times
10 to the 24th.
10 to the 24th. Okay. But the original problem didn't say propane. It didn't say molecules of propane. It says how many atoms of carbon. So we just solved for the molecules of propane first, which is this many, and then to get atoms of carbon, there's 3 atoms of carbon on every one of these, times 3. That's it. 6 times 10 to the 24th. That's all there is to it. But it's just that one more step. Figure out how many of these you have. If I ask you for atoms of hydrogen, you'd multiply 2 times 10 to the 24th times 8. If I ask you for how many atoms of carbon, you multiply that times 3. If I ask you how many wheels were on all those cars, you multiply it times 4, right? Does that make sense? If I ask you how many wheels were on all those bicycles, you find the bicycles and multiply it times 2. If we go back and look at another problem we did earlier, how many grams of sodium, right, are in 109 grams of sodium chloride, we just figured out what the percentage was of sodium and sodium chloride. So we just solved for how many grams of sodium we had and then solved. That was just doing it a different way. Does that make sense? Let's go back and do another grams problem. All right?
That's what made it
See if you can solve it with grams.
in the brain.
Ready?
Oh, we're just doing the same.
How many, this is a 2-step problem. How many atoms of magnesium are in 100 grams of magnesium chloride? And I'm going to pause the video right here. This is your breakthrough problem. All right, so we're going to solve this. So we're going to solve this. How many atoms of just magnesium are in 100 grams of magnesium chloride? The first thing I would do is just figure out how many grams of magnesium we have. Magnesium chloride is 24 plus 70.8. So it's 94.8. So only 24 of the 94.8, right? That's the percentage. So if it's about 25.5%. Is that right? So if it's 25.5% magnesium and you have 100 grams, well, duh, that makes it easy, doesn't it? Then if you have 100 grams of magnesium chloride, you really have 25.5 grams of magnesium. And now you can just pretend that it's a new problem. And that new problem is, how many atoms are in 25.5 grams of magnesium? That's your new problem, which you could solve all day long. That's the number given, times 1 over. What does a mole of magnesium weigh? 24 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. It gives you only a slightly higher number, which is what? 6 point what? 6.4.
Times 10 to the
Like
24.
brown.
6.3 times 10 to the 23rd. 6.3 or 6.4 times 10. Does this make sense? That's it. Yes, ma'am.
So I did it that way, but then I accidentally got the same answer.
You could, oh gosh, there's many ways you could do it.
But like, I did 100 divided by 9. There's like.
I know. Don't tell people what you did because you're going to confuse them. I know what you did, and that's a perfectly logical way to do
So
it.
that works?
There's many ways to get the answer. All right. All right. So there it is. There's 2 or 3 different problems on how to work with multiples of these, right? All right. So